Hello, very warm welcome to Progress Junior Golf with Content Live Golf. My name's Steve Jackson, and this is Ian Waterhouse. Good evening,
Hello,
Ian.
hello, Steve. How are you? It's good to see you. You noticed something. I did a boo boo, didn't I? I did a boo boo.
You got the website name wrong, but there you go. You've corrected it in time.
I've
So we're
changed it,
okay.
and I've got it
Okay.
right running across the bottom. Have you seen this, by the way? We've got a new ticker bar. Can you see that? Very Sky
Marvelous.
Sports New-esque, isn't it?
Absolutely fantastic. Now, this is a podcast all about junior golf. It's about the next generation of golfers. It's about trying to get more boys and girls playing the game of golf. This is show number 13. Unlucky for some, or lucky for some, whichever way you want to look at it.
Actually, Steve, interesting
Oh,
fact. Sorry, interesting fact. I got married on Friday the 13th.
is that right?
Yeah, and I'm
So
still
who's
married.
the lucky one there?
My wife Debbie, and we're still married 5 years later.
Well done. Now, this is the first of a three-parter. We're going to look at minorities in junior golf. So the next couple of podcasts, we're going to look at ethnic minorities for one of them, and then we're going to do one on girls golf as well. But today, we're going to cover junior golfers with disabilities. Now, towards the end of last week, I went to one of my local golf courses, Brampton Heath, to cover a golf festival for pupils from nearby schools to try golf. They've done similar schemes over the last few years or so, which have proved very popular. Now, this year they were targeting girls with learning difficulties. So we're going to hear from two of the main organisers of that event. That's Michelle Reeves, who's the School Sports Inclusive Development Officer for Northamptonshire, working for Northamptonshire Golf, Northamptonshire Sport, and also Kieran Thomas, who is the club professional at Brampton Heath. He did all the coaching and does all the coaching with the kids as well. It was a fantastic event, really, really entertaining, and the kids loved it as well. We're also going to hear from two other girl golfers as well, who both have inspirational stories to tell about their experiences with disability golf. Two very different stories as well, because we've got Ellie Gamble, who was diagnosed with ME when she was just 13 years of age, but at the age of 17 now, so that's 4 years since. She's now targeting, she's playing a lot of golf now. She's down to single figures, and she's targeting becoming a teaching professional golfer. So it's certainly not stopped her playing golf, which is fantastic. And from a slightly different angle as well, we're going to hear from Emily Horsted, who is one of England Golf's young ambassadors. Now, she recently volunteered to help out at the National Blind Golf Championships as well, which took place at Hill Valley Golf Club in Shropshire. So we're going to have a slightly different story there about, even if you aren't a disabled golfer, you can still get involved with that type of thing as well, and it can still be really enjoyable. So it's an important subject, and hopefully one which people are going to enjoy listening to this afternoon, or this evening rather. Right. I was just thinking actually earlier today, we haven't got a slogan for the show, but I think I might have come up with one, and that's every single time I do this, I go, first things first, let's do the golf news.
First things first, let's do the golf news. Do you know what? Yeah, that can fly. That can fly.
Now, so pick a country then. Which country should we start in? Should we start overseas?
Any country in the world. Can I start anywhere in the world?
No, you have to pick one of the ones I've got on my list of ones we're going to talk about.
Spain? Anything in Spain?
No, that's not on my list. So tough. Right.
England. Let's go Great Britain.
Okay. Let's start with what kind of Great Britain? Great Britain, Ireland. We'll do this one quickly because we don't want to really talk too much about it. Curtis Cup took place. There was some junior golfers or teenage golfers who were playing in it. GB and Ireland against America over in the States. I think it's fair to say that the Americans played quite well because they won the match 15.5, 4.5, but a really good experience for some of those golfers who, as we've seen with the Solheim Cup, a lot of those players who play in that event go on to become bigger things in the professional game. So another big event which is taking place and on through to the match play stages today, and that's the Rna Amateur Championship, which takes place. There was a stroke play qualified at Royal Lyndon and St Anne's Old Links as well. So through to the knockout stages as yet, there's been a few teenagers, a few junior golfers have made it through to the knockout stages then. Won't really go into too many details until perhaps the next podcast, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we might have someone who does really well and goes on and perhaps wins that one. St Andrews Links Trophy then. Let's go to it's actually in Scotland. So it was won by a teenager, 19-year-old Australian amateur champion Conor McKinney. Won 7 under par 65 in the final round. This took place on the Jubilee and the Old courses at St Andrews. He won by 2 shots from another Aussie, actually, Adam Brady. A couple of teenagers who have been mentioned actually in previous golf news which we've done. South Africans, Christian Massey finished 6th, and Scotland 15-year-old Conor Graham, he finished 9th in that as well. So some good performances in that. Staying in Scotland then, big event which takes place every year, the European Championships, the US Kids European Championships. It's spread over lots of different courses up there. We'll just go through the ones who are the British winners in that, so different age categories. Under 7 boys, which took place at Long Nidri, was won by Brodie McIver from Inverness, 1 under par score. That's played over 9 holes, 3 rounds of 9 holes there. Under 10s, which was played at Craigie Law, won by Alexander Dunmore, even par score, started with a 68, fantastic starting round there.
Wow.
Under 13s, that was played at Royal Musselburgh. Hey, how about this for a score then? 3 rounds here.
Yep.
Frankie Morton from Stanley Le Hoppe, 67, 67, 65.
Whoa.
17 under par winning the score. That is some score, that is. So
can I just say, under 7s, they have an under 7s category. That is great, by the way, but it's really, really young, isn't it? Like really young to be competing in golf.
We'll mention another competition a little bit later on, which has got an under 6 competition. So so just the last 2 age categories where the British players have done well and won. Boys 15 to 18, that was played at the Musselburgh. Ben Caldwell-Smith from Wynyard, he 1 under par score, 74, 70, 71. And the girls 13 to 14, once again, that was played at the Musselburgh as well. Saskia Owen, once again, really good score to win this, 69, 69, 66. So 12 under par score.
Crazy.
To win that competition. Well done to them. We'll stay with Scotland then. The Stephen Gallagher Foundation, they have their Stephen Gallagher Foundation trophy and vase. So the trophy was the boys competition, that was won by Callum McKeely, 72, 72, 73, and the girls competition, Freya Russell, so she won the vase, 75, 79, 73. Now, an event which was very important last week, in the last podcast, we were talking about Welsh golf, the Gareth Bale Festival of Sport Championship that took place at the Vale Resort. We've got a photo of the winner, and what a golfing name this young lad has got. I mean, first of all, he had the opportunity to meet Gareth Bale, so well done to him for that. But his name, what a golfing name this is Callum Hook. That's my kind of golfing name, that is. So from P&K Golf Club, really, really good score. 78 and 77 was first and third round. Second round, 68. There, that did the damage. That was the one which won it basically for him. He finished 2 under par, finished 6 shots ahead of Brodie Lewis from Southern Down Golf Club. So well done to those.
For those not au fait with the chap on the right, Callum is on the left there.
Yes, that's it. Just in
chap
case
on
you're
the right,
not quite sure.
Chap on the right, he was just on his way through to Leeds to sign for Leeds, I think.
Absolutely. And if memory serves you right, I think the following day he scored, or he was part of the team which Wales qualified for the World Cup. So it's a fantastic day for Gareth, or fantastic week for Gareth Bale, all told.
And a fantastic week for Welsh sport, really, as well.
Absolutely. Right, that's Wales. Let's go to Ireland then, because another person, real informed golfer, is Beth Coulter. We've got a photo of her, because she has won the Irish Women's Closed Championship at Grange Golf Club. Now, the reason why she's doing the 2 fingers there is because she's won the Irish Girls Championship as well a few weeks earlier. So that is some kind of double this year. And how about this, actually? The Irish Girls Closed Championship, which took place in 2019, was between the 2 same players as the Irish Women's Championship in 2022. So Beth Coulter, as we mentioned there, from Kirkestown Castle, she won. She beat Sarah Byrne in the final, 6 and 5 in the final. So a really good performance in the final there. Let's go down to England then. Lots of county championships taking place, but Midlands event, the England Boys County Championship team event and an individual with that. The team event was won by Leicestershire and Rutland. They won on countback from Worcestershire. The individual winner, though, and once again, some great scoring here. 2 rounds of 67. I think I counted. He got 11 birdies in those 2 rounds. Won by 5 shots from 4 players. And we have to mention one of those 4 players because he was on the podcast a few weeks ago when we did the one about fitness and health. Ryan Gavin, who has had a broken back last year. So there you go. He's back to full fitness and he's playing well. And he managed to finish joint second in the individual. So well done to Ryan there. Now, you mentioned earlier about the under 7s category.
Yes.
Well, the British Junior Golf Tour, they have an under 6 competition, and they've had lots and lots of players playing in their events this year. They had 73 players playing at the Leicestershire Golf Club. They had 108 playing at Rochester and Cobham, and I did look at that under 6 category, and I think there was 9 playing in the under 6 category.
Wow.
So you're talking about
pretty
under
good
sevens.
going, isn't it?
That's a year earlier, so they're going to be on that US Kids probably next year. So so
why not? They compete at football at under sevens, don't they? So why not?
Absolutely. So and just one more for the news. Robber Rock Junior Golf Tour. They've got an event coming up this weekend at Wellingborough Golf Club. I'm going to be there taking photos. They have one last week at Ruddington Grange. 83 players played in that. A lad called Romani Syed shot the best score. Well, certainly the best score under par. Net 61, 10 under par to win the boys under 12s competition. So well done to him, and well done to all the players who've been playing in junior competitions over the last few weeks or so. And that pretty much wraps up the junior golf news. Then,
Steve,
what have you been doing this last week?
Because just quickly, Steve. Yeah, just quickly, I'll come to that shortly. But when we started this podcast back in, was it January, and we did the news section, because there was no tournaments playing. The news section was literally 30 seconds, wasn't it? Now, how nice is it having everything going on? So much information to give. It's great, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I've had to cut that back because could have been so much I could have done. Paul Laurie, they had a competition. I just saw the results just come through this evening. So well done to the players who played in that competition. That's obviously north of the border as well. So, isn't it great the fact that there are so many competitions? And as we well know, there's going to be loads during the summer holidays. So good luck to everyone. I'm helping organise an event at Edgbaston Golf Club in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm pleased to announce, just been confirmed, it's full. We've filled up the 18-hole category with that, so that's fantastic. Bearing in mind that I think last year they had 20 odd players playing in it. We've got 66 this year, so that's not bad going.
Fantastic.
So that's how you get juniors
really
playing
good,
golf.
Really good.
Right, now let's move on to this podcast then. So we are talking about minorities in golf. Like I say, it's part 1 of part 3, so we're going to be covering a couple of different subjects over the next 2 podcasts. But this one is about disabilities in junior golf. Now, as I said, last week I went to an event at Brampton Heath Golf Club in Northamptonshire. They were holding it for girls who have learning difficulties, I should say. It was run by Michelle Reeves and Kieran Thomas, the professional at Brampton Heath. So we're going to hear from a couple of those. They did an interview with them afterwards just for them to explain exactly what went on. So let's hear from them.
We've been very fortunate to receive funding for a number of years to target working specifically with special educational needs children that are in mainstream schools and don't often get the opportunity to take part in competitions or represent their school in other sports activities. So I work mainly with special schools, but this has been a project specifically this year to work in mainstream schools to help children have that opportunity to come to take part in golf, to play golf perhaps for the first time, and just to introduce them to perhaps a new sport that they may not have up until now had the opportunity to try.
Today we had a special educational needs tri-golf festival, so good way of getting kind of children, primary school children, year 3, 4, 5 to 6, who wouldn't normally get the chance to try golf and play golf. So they've all been here for kind of taster sessions for a couple of hours over the past 2-3 weeks. We have a festival today, and then we get them back. They have a go at kind of proper golf, and then start July we invite them back with their families to all try it. So this kind of gives them an avenue in to the game, which otherwise probably wouldn't be there.
Golf's a fantastic activity. I love it. I think from the children's faces when you see them pick up a golf club and hit the ball, or as I've just done now, if they hit a cone and get some points, it's the joy that it brings. It's fairly easy. Easy, but it's something that the children can get to grips with quite quickly, and it's not complicated. They know what they've got to do, and they enjoy the opportunity to have a go and score points as it is in try golf, or to get better each week they try. So I think it gives a lot back in terms of enjoyment and fun.
Before COVID we did it for a couple of years and it worked really well, so we kind of get 6 schools normally who come. And it's worked really well, so lots of them you still see them coming up and playing, not all the time. Some have got really into it. We've got a couple of them who've joined members and they play on the par 3, and it tends to work well. We've
targeted young girls as well this year, so it's a real opportunity, having spoken to the schools this morning, to really encourage a group of girls out that they can really socialise, build on their friendships, enjoy the opportunity to come out and help each other and learn together, which is really nice and really good fun for them. We work with all children, and it might be a special school, it might be a mainstream school, but the children, no matter who or what age, or just love participating in activities, and they get a lot out of it. It's very rewarding, and skills for life, winning and losing, competing and that sort of thing, is something that they all benefit from, and it doesn't really matter whether they're male or female, really. I think it's sport sort of crosses all sort of divides, and offers the same opportunity for all to really have fun and enjoy it. The children that they bring usually have a fantastic time, and you can tell that they've obviously chosen the children well to give them that opportunity, because they do really have fun, and they're active, and they're enjoying it, and really happy with coming out of school, I think, sometimes. But yeah, generally they all enjoy it and have a great time, which is brilliant.
The kids absolutely love it. You'll have heard them today. They're just kind of shouting and screaming, celebrating, kind of getting 5 points or 10 points. Just really, really enjoyable. They've got big smiles on their faces. The parents then, when they come up, they're kind of, and it's a nice place to come and sit. They're like, oh, this is nice. And then the parents end up on the driving range hitting balls with the kids, and it's quite a nice family kind of day out for them as well.
Because I think the good thing about golf is that you can come and play on your own, or you can come and play with your friends, and you don't have to fit into a category. You can just turn up and play, which is fantastic.
So I think it's about making each game adaptable. So you might have one game that might be tougher for certain students at certain ages and abilities, and you make it just so they can all have a go, and you might move targets closer, you might make it more achievable, but you want them to go away thinking that they've been able to do it and they've achieved it. And it might be changing the equipment, getting them a slightly longer club or a slightly shorter club, so they can play with that as well.
If we could get some of these young players involved in participating outside of school on a regular basis, that would be fantastic. There are sort of opportunities, and we very much try and open up the opportunities for them to take part in just coming along to a golf club as anyone else would.
I think we're lucky here that the facilities allow us to do it. The access is really easy, but just gives them such a varied kind of opportunity to come and try.
I think what happens generally is that you do need some additional opportunities, some incentives, some initiatives, some projects, and that's really why we're starting young with the children through the schools project.
Lots of them they love the par 3. You now and again see a couple kind of going out on the main course and trying it from going back 3, 4, 5 years. A lot of them love the par 3, so they can go out, and again, it doesn't matter if you can't hit it 100 yards, if you can hit it 10, 20 yards, you can go and play. So they still get the enjoyment even without having that driver that goes 200 yards.
As we all know, being active is a very important part of lifestyle, and if we can encourage children to take part in something that they enjoy and give them a wide range of opportunities, then hopefully they will continue to play. So if sports are out there, they're all trying their best to try and sort of encourage everyone to play, and I think there does need to be more opportunities, and people do need to sort of work perhaps a bit harder to make sure that everyone is aware that they have got the opportunity to go and play. And I think hopefully through the work that we're doing specifically here at Brampton Heath, then it really is golf for all, and hopefully the children will want to come back and continue playing. So we do have a number of initiatives that are taking place, and I'm sure they're doing that throughout other counties as well, because the projectability funding through the Youth Sport Trust is national, so there are similar people doing very good work in lots of other counties as well.
So that was Michelle Reeves then talking about the programme that they put together at Brampton Heath last week, and it was fantastic to go along, and they were spot on with the smiling faces. They were all enjoying themselves, and it was once again, it was quite inspiring just to watch the kids go out there and have some fun. And I would recommend to any golf club out there, if they have the opportunity to do this, to get their names down and try and put something on, because it can only benefit everyone, really, and that's got to be good for golf, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, Steve. There's so much good work that's being done, isn't there? And so much that can still be done as well, though.
Now, just one point which cropped up whilst I was there. I was taking photos of the kids and everything, and there was something which, with you with your media hat on and things like that, is there was one girl in particular who said, I'm afraid of photos being taken of me, kind of thing. So you're not allowed to take a photo of her. And I was just thinking, with you when you're doing your video footage and things like that, is that something? Because obviously with some of these girls, it was very obvious that they were disabled, but some of them, it wasn't with this girl, for example, you see. So is that something which, when you go up to approach people and try and do interviews with them, is that something you need to be a little bit aware of, the fact that you might be dealing with someone who might have mental health issues?
Yeah, it's a great thing to say. And funnily enough, Steve, I did broadcast, okay, it wasn't junior golf, but I did broadcast the Cairns Cup, which is the Disability Ryder Cup. And, it's difficult to compare, isn't it? Because people knew we were coming, they knew they were going to be there, and adults to juniors are very, very different. But I had it the first time we ever did Faldo series, the first ever event we did, and it had never been done before. And, everybody was, it was announced that we were going to be there, of course. But when you deal with juniors, and you'll know this, Steve, from experience in the media game too, they're very different to dealing with adults. And it's very short one-word answers. And my style is quite, we're very friendly, we're very nice, but I don't ask permission. I just do. And I've had it a couple of times. I remember going up to a player who was deaf, and I didn't know that. And of course, there's just signals. He said, "I'm deaf. I can't. I don't know what you're saying. I can't understand." And it was fine. It was absolutely fine because it's real. It's there in the moment. We just patted each other on the back and said, "Look, good luck, fantastic." Carried on and just moved on from that way. I've never had a situation where somebody said, "No, just don't talk to me. Stay away." They smile. They laugh a little bit. You can see who's shy. That's my cue then as a professional. If I can sense they're really uncomfortable, is to cut it short and move on quickly. And that's what I do. If I can sense somebody is not happy or not comfortable with me being there, I just move on quickly.
Isn't that a great story, the fact that you had someone there who was deaf playing golf, though? I mean, obviously, we're going to be talking about someone who went to a blind golf championship earlier this year, which wasn't a junior event, but it was similar to the Cairns Cup there. It was an adult competition. But isn't it great, the fact that the Faldo series could give someone the opportunity, not just say the Faldo series, because obviously they must have got to a very good standard of golf, but lots of people must have been able to give them that opportunity to play golf to a high standard.
And I had no idea, Steve, as well. I had no idea. Lovely person. Absolutely no idea.
Now, which perfectly brings us on to our next interview. So we had a chat earlier, well, actually last week with a girl called Ellie Gamble, who we had David on a few weeks ago. We're talking about county golf, who works in Cambridgeshire, and he told about his daughter, who I had met a few years ago, and she developed initially she had glandular fever when she was 12 years old. I think she had that for a few months, and then eventually it was diagnosed as ME. So we're just going to hear her story about exactly what happened and how that was diagnosed, because we had an interview with her.
I started playing golf when I was about 3. I used to play a little par 3 course a lot, all the time, like with my brother and my dad. But I was 8 when I joined my first club, which is Ely, which is my home course. And I started with 9 holes, building up to 18 holes. And I was playing lots of 18-hole competitions, working my handicap, just trying to, it's just what I did. And then, I just started to really struggle. I couldn't, 18 holes, it would I'd come home and I would just lie here on the sofa and I would just sleep for a few hours. And then I'd get up and go to bed. And sometimes it would even wipe me out for a few days afterwards. Before I got sick, was not that fussed about golf. It was something that I did because it was just something I grew up with. It was what my brother did. I was kind of just, your brother's doing this, come on, let's do this. I enjoyed it, but it was just kind of like a chore. But it was taken away from me, and I was not happy with that. And I realised just how much I love it, and it wasn't just something my brother did. And I just kind of really fell in love with it. We brought it back to just, not really playing at all, just going out, playing a few holes. of an evening, and then, you know, getting to the 4th, the 5th, I'm like, I can't go on anymore. I'm just gonna cause myself to be in bed for a week. And then, you know, I'd be able to do 9 holes and walk 9 holes. And then when bigger competitions came along, you know, I got a doctor's note, I can use a buggy, because there was no way I was walking 18 holes. And even days like, you know, the other week I had a golf competition, there was no way I was walking 18 holes. So I needed a buggy.
And how do you know what you can or can't do? I mean, you say that there are periods whereby after 4 or 5 holes you might finish. If that's the case, there are times whereby you can play 18 holes.
Yeah. It's really hard. I am someone who wants to jump in all feet, does not want to say no. I was supposed to be playing in a golf competition this morning, but I had to say no because I wasn't up for it. And it's something you just got to learn to deal with. It kind of gets you down. It not only, you know, does it affect me physically being able to play golf, but it's a massive mental battle trying to learn what your body can and can't do, because you want to do it. But you just, after such a long period of time, you just get to know that you're not up for it.
So that's Ellie Gamble talking about when she was diagnosed with ME and the kind of things that she's had to deal with then. And the big positive there is the fact that actually the irony about it is by being diagnosed with that, she realised how much she loved golf. So it's kind of like a weird positive out of the negative, isn't it?
She said before, didn't she? You know, I'd grown up with golf, but I wasn't really that fussed. So, yeah.
Now, there was one thing which she did touch upon there a little bit, and the next part of the interview we're going to go into a bit more detail, and that's the fact that how she dealt with it, because, you know, obviously something where, you know, it was very difficult for her to even play, let alone 18 holes, 9 holes, sometimes even 4 or 5 holes kind of thing. So one of the things which she mentioned there is the use of a buggy. Now that brings with it mixed blessing though. We've also got some comment as well, which when I had a chat with Michelle Reeves from the last week, I got her to comment as well on this as well, because she'd heard this interview. So let's just hear from Ellie about the kind of things that she's had to deal with trying to use the buggy and how that has brought different challenges.
I can go out and play 18 holes. Okay, I'll be a bit tired and fatigued afterwards, but I know that I can play golf. I won't get to the 9th hole or 10th hole and I'm in a competition, and then I'm just trying my best just to keep my eyes open, just to walk the course. And then also, like, if there's lots on, it means I can play multiple times in a week. You know, during the summer holidays, ideally I want to get out 3 or 4 times a week and enjoy the sun, rather than go out once a week and then just be sick and not enjoy my summer holidays because I'm ill. I think the hardest thing is knowing that you're on about, like, you're with your friends or something, and there's, you know, you've explained their condition and they understand it, and they're walking the course, and all you want to be doing is walking the course and being, you know, they're fine. Like, once you explain it, they're fine with it. Okay, they make a joke about, oh, you want to play this, so cool, oh, look at that, but, you know, you're like, no, it's really not that cool. Like, I really actually don't want to be here. Like, to start with, yeah, I'm on a buggy, it's kind of cool, but it's not. And as well, it's isolating. Like, you're out there to be able to, you know, okay, yes, in a competition it's a different story, but as a social game, like, you're out there to have a conversation and to, you know, just be able just to talk, and you can't do that. And, like, because of my age, because I haven't passed my driver's test, someone's in the buggy with me, because I'm not allowed to drive it yet. But, you know, even that, like, my dad's in my buggy, like, you know, you got him yapping about how, bad mistake, commenting on the golf game. You don't want to hear that. You're trying to focus. And, you know, like, people I play with, I used to play with them before I got sick. You know, and I know what it's like being on the course, walking the course with them, and how much fun like, I can have with them. And then, you know, there's walking down the hole by themselves, and I'm sat there next to Dad, like, that's not really what I want to be doing. You get the comment of, but you're a healthy 17-year-old girl, what are you doing on a buggy? That's weird. But and you explain it, and they're like, oh, okay, fair enough, I apologise, I didn't realise. But, you know, at times you get, like, what's she doing? You know, if they don't know me, and you can hear them when you drive past them, but it's just something you just zone out after, you know.
Is it every time that you play in a golf event of some description that kind of comment crops up?
Yeah. And you even feel that you go to step on the buggy and it's someone you don't know and they just give you a look. Like, what are you doing? I played the other week with an elderly woman in a knockout competition, and she was walking the course. And I was the one on the buggy, and there were people looking at you like, what are you doing? That's not right. There's something off there. And you almost feel guilty because you really shouldn't be the one who's having this, you know, different scenario. It's not nice. Like I said earlier, at times it's a mental battle to be able to accept that, yeah, you're not well, you look fine, but you're not well and you need to do this.
Good on her, and you know, there's no, you know, people shouldn't judge people. I don't think it's anybody's right to question or judge. If somebody's participating, then good on them, and good luck to them. And you know, in this day and age, there'll probably be lots of people that are struggling with their mental health, perhaps after COVID, and you know, you don't know what people are struggling with, you know, inside or, you know, in their own homes and things. So I don't think you can judge anyone or categorise or stereotype people and sort of say that they're right or wrong for taking part. I just think the more opportunities there are, it all goes to help raise awareness that there are opportunities out there, and they are equal opportunities and should be available to everyone. And that if you feel comfortable competing in one group or want to compete in a mainstream opportunity, then you know that's entirely an individual's choice, and nobody should really judge them on that.
I've always been a positive person, but I think I've learned more acceptance of it. You know, as I've learned to deal with it, it's the same with anyone. Anything that happens in life, you just learn to deal with it. You learn to accept the way things happen.
And how much role has golf played within that?
I mean, it's almost been the obstacle that's made it hard to be accepted, because you compare yourself so much because you're around so many people that aren't doing what you're doing. Whereas in lots of other situations that I'm in day to day, that you don't need to do anything different because your health doesn't need it. Like, you can do things exactly the same as anyone else. But when it comes to sport, okay, because I'm at the age that I'm not at school, I'm not doing, you know, other sports, that you're not immersed yourself within that, so you don't really realise until you're on the golf course. And then you've got to try and figure out you've got to accept it. You just got to learn to deal with it. People hosting the events don't take into account that there are people with disabilities who play golf. You know, you have to, like, even locally, you can make sure you send an email, you know, oh, I'm not well, I need so-and-so. Why? And you've got to go through the process all the time of explaining everything. And I think that, yes, there are people, people need to accept that, yes, there are people who have disabilities who play golf. It's not seen often, and I think that's what makes it difficult. And I think that's what also makes you feel awkward about it, because I don't want to say it's not normal, it's completely normal, but it's not recognised as normal in a golf environment.
You almost feel as if sometimes you have to prove the fact that you're disabled.
Definitely. You know, it's like, I will go out and play 18 holes on a buggy, and I'll come back and I'll be full of energy because maybe I played really well, or maybe it just hasn't hit me yet. And you feel guilty because you're fine, like, you look fine. You know, I look fine. I feel like there's nothing wrong with me. You know, no one would know that I'm sick. You feel uneasy about that until, you know, sometimes you sit down and you feel like almost you want everything to catch up with you, and you want to feel the aftermath of having played golf, just so people don't come up to you and like, you're really fine. There's nothing wrong with you.
It's almost a case of, on occasions, you want them to see the fact that you're sick.
Like, I don't want anyone to see me like lying in bed, not being able to get out of bed at times, but that's the only way for them to understand. Then it's a catch-22 of, you know, do you show people you're sick and almost make yourself look sick, feel sick, or do you just try your best to push past it because it makes you feel good, but you don't have to worry about what other people. I don't want to be seen to, you know, I go out on a buggy and I play amazing and I'll, you know, knock out competition, I could beat someone, you know, play amazing, and I'm on a buggy and, you know, you're absolutely fine. Just because you're on a buggy or you've got doesn't mean that you can't play golf well. You know, I go out in a competition and I might win the competition, but you don't feel like you've won the competition because you almost feel like you're cheating. Although you might feel awful, it's not recognised as, yeah, like, well done, well played.
Do you ever get past that?
I don't know. I feel at times it doesn't bother me, it's not a second thought, but other times it is. I think the only way that I feel like it's okay is I win, but I still feel rubbish and I look rubbish, then they understand. But you don't want to feel rubbish, you don't want to look rubbish because you don't want to be ill at all, so...
Now, obviously, I did that interview with her, and I remember doing it, kind of thing. Obviously, I edited it in the last couple of days or so. You've heard it there, Ian. To me, that was just fascinating. Some of the things that she said then, and the words that she used, and in particular, there was one word she used twice there, and that's feeling guilty, and that must be so much to deal with for someone who's young and has done nothing wrong.
Steve, how old is Ellie?
Ellie's 17 now.
You should never ask a lady her age, but 17.
Yes.
First of all, doesn't she speak incredibly well?
Yes.
Right, and isn't she so mature for her age? Like the way she's talking, you know, just it was sort of hitting a bit at the end where she's talking about, you know, I win a tournament, but I'm in a buggy, so I don't really feel like I've won it. I mean, it's not fair, is it? Really, you know, you have won the tournament. I mean, you know, professional golfers, they're not allowed buggies, but they've got somebody to carry the bag for them. You know, like, what's the difference, really? What's the difference between sitting in a buggy or having somebody carry your bag for you? There isn't really a great deal of difference. And I think we need to get over that, don't we? You know, I remember it was John Daly, wasn't it? He wanted a buggy for the seniors tour and they refused it for him. I mean, yeah. John Daly's is perhaps more his own lifestyle, perhaps.
Yeah, John, yes.
But again, this is an area where golf kind of needs to just catch up to the modern day life and the way that things are in this day and age, and the acceptance of it. That clearly, you know, Ellie, she can't get round, but if she's in a buggy, she can compete just like everybody else. And I would be interested to hear actually from her fellow competitors what they think. If she goes and wins a tournament, do they look at it and think, well, she's in a buggy, so did she really win? Does it make any difference? Like, honestly, maybe we need to get somebody to do this. We need to get a scientific experiment going. Does it make any difference if you sit in a buggy, play a round of golf in a buggy, or you walk the course and somebody's holding your bag? Does it actually physically make a great deal of difference? I'd love to know.
And she uses the word there, which is probably the strongest word that you can use in golf, and that's, she feels as if she's cheating people, and that's. I mean, that's so wrong, and it's so not the case.
It's so sad to hear, isn't it? Because it's not true. You know, you'll probably get the odd person out there who's like, oh, well, you know, she was in a buggy, so blah, blah. But I mean, that thinking in this day and age is a bit archaic, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Now, we have got another interview with Ellie now. We're going to talk about what, you know, on the positive side is the fact that this is not stopped it's not stopped her playing golf, but it's also, more importantly, it's not stopped her of what her dream is, and her dream is to become a professional golfer. So I had a chat with her about that. Also, I think Michelle Reeves commented as well on this as well. So let's just hear about how she can go about trying to do that.
my dad's a teacher, and ever since before he became a teacher, I always said that I want to teach, and I was never really sure on what, I was like, oh, maybe a maths teacher, maybe an art teacher, but then, me getting sick, I realised how important golf is to my life, and why not marry the two and be able to, experience both.
So just explain what you're doing as far as college-wise and what you hope to do in the golf industry.
Yeah, so I've finished my full-time education. I am taking a gap year to work on my health and try and build myself up so that I can get to the point that I don't need a buggy to be able to play a round of golf, and that I can go out multiple times in a week and still feel good about myself, and also get my handicap down, just really try and improve, because I've been so busy at school that I just don't have time to play golf as much as I want. And then I'm hoping to get an apprenticeship somewhere, hopefully local, so I can support the county that has helped me, develop as a golfer, and complete the course training and teach, and really focus on supporting the juniors as well.
And do you know anyone who's in the same position as yourself, a disabled golfer who is a teaching professional?
No, I don't know many professional golfers outside of the county, but I've never really known anyone.
Any role model that people have got the opportunity to look up to is an inspiration, and often as not, the stories for people trying to make it through any sort of sporting pathway to the top is always difficult and always comes with its challenges, but to overcome them, I think, is the biggest inspiration of all.
I never really thought of it as something that's going to affect me in the future, and kind of just hoping that I'm going to have dealt with it and managed it, and when I get to the stage of turning pro, that it's not an issue. I think that's just me being ignorant about the situation, that I'm actually fine, when at times I have a blip and I'm not.
Hopefully children will just have the same opportunities as anyone else. I mean, there's always difficulties and barriers for anyone participating, but if there is a level playing field out there for people to achieve and to pursue their dreams and to participate and be active in the sports that they enjoy doing, then I think having that on in the national media and with the competitions and Paralympics and opportunities that there are at such a high level, I think it's a real inspiration for the youngsters to aim for.
She uses the word inspiration there, and actually, I didn't use it as part of the interview, but I said the same thing to Ellie. In fact, I said, I don't want to make you blush, but you do realise you are going to be a role model for people, and I think for people who would have hopefully watched this and listened to her, I think that's inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, it 100%, Steve. 100%. I mean, it needs a trailblazer, doesn't it? It just needs to be seen. And she said, Michelle was saying at the end, talking about media, getting the coverage out there. That's what it needs. It needs to be seen. I will say as well, anybody watching this who has a question or wants to tell us a story or tell their side of the story, please do comment below. We can see the comments. We would love to hear your stories. Do get in touch with us. Get in touch with Steve as well. Website at the top, as you can see, www.progressjuniorgolf.com. We do want to hear your stories, because there's so much good out there, so many inspiring stories. We want to hear them.
And we've got another one coming up, because of England Golf as well. We have to mention England Golf and the Golf Foundation, because they've done some things in recent years whereby they are really pushing this type of thing, and they're giving young golfers the opportunity to tell their stories and try and be inspirations to people out there, and they've got what's called, they have golf ambassadors, young golf ambassadors.
Yeah.
And one of those was a girl called Emily Horsted, and she's based up in Peterborough, which is Lincolnshire and Northamptonshire kind of thing. She plays in both counties, if you like. Now, I had a chat with her about a couple of things that she's done, two separate things, but one of them was to do with the charitable causes, and another one was when she volunteered to help out the blind golf the National Blind Golf Championship. So first of all, let's just hear the short interview with her talking about what she did with the charitable side of things at her home club, Peterborough Milton.
In the past, over at my club, I'd worked with the Little Miracles, which is a charity for kind of seriously ill and disabled kids. So I'd worked with them and done things in the past. The coach at Peterborough Milton, Adam, so it was him, the junior organiser was there, and then me and my sister went to help out as well. So we had a kind of bit of an open day, if you will, but not really. So we had a kind of day where a load of the Little Miracles kids from the charity came over for the day, and we kind of got all the plastic golf equipment out and set up a load of games and dotted them around and had a bit of a fun day, kind of introducing them to golf.
How did they enjoy it?
It was brilliant. It was so much fun, and kind of to see how much they enjoyed it as well, because it's kind of similar in a way, because just you can, no matter what you're kind of going through or what has happened, it's kind of golf is for quite a lot of people a bit of an outlet. But yeah, getting them involved and seeing the smiles on their faces trying to hit the ball at a little kind of Velcro target was absolutely brilliant.
What can you take out of that in the way that you can approach your own game?
It's definitely eye-opening, kind of when you take it back to your own game, because it's just having a look at it, it's just gone, yeah, I've not hit that very well, but who cares? It's kind of, you look at them all, it's just gone, the amount of stuff that they've been through and all that kind of stuff, and they still go out there and enjoy it. It's just taking more the kind of enjoyable factor into my own game. Is just whatever happens, it happens, and you just go on and crack on with it.
Now, I must admit, Ian, one of the things I love most is covering junior golf ahead of, I mean, I know you cover a lot of professional golf, same with myself as well, but junior golf is my passion in the sense of it's seeing those smiling faces, and even more so if you're covering it with charities as well. You've done charity events before as well. Just give an explanation if there's someone out there watching and thinks, well, I've never really got involved with charities. Why would I want to? Just give us an idea about why you should.
Yeah, I mean, some people have charities that are quite close to them, and they're absolutely sort of no-brainers, aren't they? I mean, I talk about the Cairns Cup, and I will talk about it again because I got involved with it. I don't have any disabilities or anything like that, but I had something that could make a difference to these people. And when you go there, the inspiration you see when you're involved with people who are trying to achieve something through golf, trying to raise money to help other people achieve what they want to achieve. We use the word inspiring, and it's used a lot, and it's an easy word to sort of say and chuck in. But it was, I can't explain the feeling you got from trying to do something good. Like, they came to me afterwards and said, "Oh, Ian, thanks so much for coming along. You know, it's really, really made a difference." I'm like, "What are you thanking me for?" You know, like, it's almost embarrassing, to be honest, because like I said, I'm chatting to a bloke, and he's got no legs, and he's still swinging a golf club. He's not moaning about it. He's having a great time, you know. And he's coming up to me and he's saying, "Thanks so much, Ian. You know, it's made a real difference." And I'm like, "Oh, it feels, you know, it makes you feel special because you can do something to help. You have that power. You have that ability to do something to help. Why on earth wouldn't you?" And there's so many things that you can do out there. And golf is a really good route to it, actually, as well. We said there's so many. You just Google it. There's a ton of golf charity days out there. And then you're part of this community as well. And once you get part of this community, and you know it, Steve, once you're part of that golf community, boy, oh boy, you don't ever want to leave, and you never will leave.
Now, we mentioned Emily obviously did that one for charity. She also volunteered as well for the National Blind Golf Championships. Now, you mentioned there that the Cairns Cup, obviously, at least they could see the ball. You know,
well, there was a couple of blind players in that, and it's quite incredible because the caddy puts the ball down, lines the club up for them, and then the player goes off and swings. It's fascinating to watch. And I tell you, they can hit the ball better than I can. Really, really.
Yeah, well, that's not setting to particularly high standards there, though, is it? But I take your point. Yes. Right. But we are going to hear from Emily then, because obviously she did volunteer for that event, and she went there with not many expectations about what she was going to come across. So let's just hear from what happened and how it went for her.
Got involved on the back of being a England Golf and Golf Foundation Young Ambassador. So it was put out to all of us to kind of, if we want to get involved, then here it is. It's a England and Wales blind golf competition that they held. So it's kind of, I was well, I'd say lucky enough because it was a great day, but yeah, I went and volunteered to help out at the event.
So why did you volunteer? What was particularly appealing about that competition?
Well, it was just something that I'd never done anything kind of that side of golf before. I always thought it'd be quite interesting just to see how it all kind of works in their world. And in fairness, it was quite inspiring watching them on the day.
What were your expectations then when you went there, bearing in mind that you'd never really seen it or been to one of those events before?
In all honesty, I didn't really have any expectations kind of turning up to it. It's kind of, I was quite open-minded going into it with whatever stuff they'd need me to be doing or help with. So it's kind of didn't really have any expectations on that side of it. It was just go in, do as much as I can, help as much as I can, and have a good day with it.
It's obviously a blind event. How did they play golf?
It's a little bit different because there were kind of two groups. So in each group they had like a completely blind individual, and then they had a partially sighted individual, and then obviously you had their guides with them as well. So the guides had, depending on whether they had a bit of sight or no sight, depends on how much the guide would need to do. So for the kind of partially sighted, they'd kind of just set them up pointing in the right direction, and then they could kind of work it out from there. But the people with obviously no sight, it was a bit different because you had to kind of, the guides had to line them up and kind of do a lot more for those that couldn't see anything.
And what was your role? Presumably ball spotting was one of the main ones.
Yeah, so my role was ball spotting. So we had kind of a ball spotter with each group going round, and yeah, I was kind of stood just looking kind of where they were hitting it, but also just if they needed any help with anything else, then I was kind of there and around with like rules and things like that as well.
With something like that, it's the case of you're almost the most important person out there, because obviously you are the eyes and for those players. That must be a bit of a responsibility.
In fairness, we were stood on the first tee, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking to start with, because it's just gone, we were having a bit of a chat with them all kind of before we went out, and it's just gone, well, how far do you need me to be up the fairway? So it's kind of, I can judge it. It's kind of, it's bad enough seeing my own golf fall on the course at the best of times, and then it's kind of a little bit nervous, kind of just gone, I am their eyes up the fairway just to see where it was going. So most of the time they were all right, but there were a few times where it's kind of did have to look where it's kind of the hole was a bit over a hill or something like that.
Did you find all the balls? Did you lose any or not?
Yeah, I found all of them, so I was happy with that. I did my job well.
and the actual day then, the standard and the quality of golf, how good was it?
Going back to the question earlier, I didn't really have any expectations of obviously how they were actually going to play golf. So it's kind of turning up, and it was a bit different because I got chatting to one of them who was like, my mum was ball spotting for the first group because they were one volunteer down, and it's kind of one of the guys that my mum was with when he had more sight. He was kind of low teens, that kind of golfer, but it's kind of obviously as it's deteriorated, it's got a bit less. But it's kind of they've won all sorts of competitions, and they've actually got a kind of, you wouldn't really think it obviously because they can't really see, they can't line themselves up, but it's kind of they have got a very good ability.
As a junior then being there, how inspirational was it for what you hope to do in your own career?
It was just brilliant because it was quite eye-opening and kind of inspirational to see. It's kind of, you do see quite a few people where if they're not having a very good day on the course, then it's kind of be all and end all, and it's not gone very well. But it's kind of looking at them and seeing, although they weren't kind of hitting the best of shots all of the way round, they were still having a great time, having a bit of a laugh going round. So it's kind of, even just with their level of golf, for the fact that they can't really see, was quite inspirational, and kind of taking it forward, just being more like showing people to be more kind of tolerable with their own golf game. If it's not going very well, you can still do whatever you want.
So moving forward then, what do you think you will take out of this and do you think you'll do it again?
definitely. I said to quite a lot of them on the days, kind of any of the England and Wales blind golf events kind of coming up, if I'm around, then hopefully I'll go and do similar again and go and volunteer and help out.
So I mentioned that responsibility. I mean, you imagine being stood on the last tee. But the guy you're ball spotting for has got a one-shot lead, and you're the one who needs to find his ball just in case it goes somewhere. You know, I mean, that's you know, it's the same as like being a caddy, and you make sure you read this putt right, otherwise I'm going to lose this tournament, kind of thing.
Sounds easy ball spotting, doesn't it? You think, oh, it's just watching the ball, but I'll tell you what, when the pressure's on, all eyes on you. You know,
absolutely. Yeah. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this. Obviously, you know, I wear glasses and everything, but my eyesight is pretty bad actually, in the sense that my left eye is about as bad as it can be. So my field of vision comes out my right eye. So, for example, when I'm driving, to look in the wind mirror, I move my head to look up and look out the back windscreen. Now, as a right-handed golfer, on a cloudy day, if I don't pick the ball up quickly, as soon as it goes up in the sky with my right eye, I am literally stood there going, I have absolutely no idea where this has gone. So I can kind of relate a little bit with someone, you know, nowhere near to the same extent that they have. But I also a very, very good friend of mine. How about this? We played in a pairs competition. We joined what about this for a pair? So me with my eyesight, this. He has 2D vision.
Wow.
So when he stands on a putt, he cannot see any of the burrows on the green.
Wow, that's incredible. 2D. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Exactly. He plays off +2.
Wow.
So you imagine how good a putter he is, because basically he stands over a putt, and you know, you've seen the guys doing the walking up to the hole and do the. He literally stands over a putt and thinks, "Do I feel as if I'm leaning left, right, forward, backwards?" And he's done that since he was, you know, the ear dot kind of thing. He had an eye operation to fix it. His golf went downhill big time because he suddenly started seeing burrows that he'd never seen before, and things like that. You see, so eventually, he's still playing +2 now, but the kind of things that you have to go through, kind of, you know. So, but look, I hope you've enjoyed this because I think we've covered disabilities in different ways there. So we've looked at obviously someone who, you know, very much with the girls who played in the event at Brampton Heath, whereby, you know, physical disabilities for people with learning disabilities. So someone with ME who has to go through different experiences in the sense of, you know, the what's the word I'm looking for? People who don't understand what she's going through because they think that she's, you know, and she's going to feel guilt and she used the word to feel as if she's cheating, kind of thing. And also then someone there who is covering disability events, who is an able-bodied person, but they've all gained out of it, haven't they? And I think that's the message which we're hopefully trying to get across to this podcast this evening, in the sense of, even though we, you know, me and you were both, look, I mentioned about my eyesight there, it's nowhere near that severe kind of thing, but we're able-bodied people, you know, we don't have to deal with these types of things, but just by learning from these experiences and listening to some of the stories which we've heard today, hopefully people will learn from that and you know, perhaps be a little bit more empathetic towards them when they come across those types of situations.
There is that badge, isn't there, that says, you know, at disabled car parking spaces that not all disabilities are visible, and it's so true, isn't it? I mean, we saw it with Elle. I mean, it's true. You know, they're not all. So just, you know, if you see somebody young in a buggy, it's, you know, just watch yourself, be careful, and just remember that there's a high chance they're in a buggy for a reason, and they'd probably rather not be in a buggy, you know.
As Ellie perfectly illustrated, and as you mentioned there, with great maturity as well, and best of luck with her.
She talks so well. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. In fact, there was some, like I say, we're going to be doing 2 podcasts coming up. We're doing one on ethnic minorities. We're going to do one girls golf as well. We got some of her comments as well about girls golf as well, and also from Emily as well. So we're using those in the podcast coming up a little bit later on, kind of thing. So the podcast on ethnic minorities, we're going to be talking to another England golf young ambassador called Kai Williams, who's in Bedfordshire. He's very much into this. He's I don't know if I've thrown this one at you before, but whether you know this or whether you can think of it yourself, but we would have seen probably about 500, 600 golfers on the Fowler Series last year. How many of those do you think are from an ethnic minority?
Oh God, not many.
Yeah, and I can do that because it's easy for me because I've got obviously the photos, so I can back them up. But I reckon I had a quick look. I think there's about 20 out of 500, 600. And you think, really? We're talking 25 years since Tiger Woods first started hitting. There should be a lot more than that kind of thing. So these are kind of which we're going to touch upon and try and find out, and perhaps delve a little bit deeper in some of the things which are going on within not just golf but in junior golf as well, and hopefully we can get, like I said, some answers, but perhaps ask some questions and try and find some answers. Who knows?
Steve, can I just jump in at the end as well, just to let everybody know I do have some junior golf news of my own. Of course, next week it is the English Under-18 Championships. Here is our broadcast image, as you can see. Friday the 24th, Saturday 25th, and Sunday Saturday 25th, Sunday 26th. We'll be live at Woodhall Spa for the English Under-18 Championship, so you can watch all 3 days live. Wherever you're watching this broadcast right now, you will be able to tune in and watch that. It promises to be an absolute cracker. Of course, this week as well, we are with the PGA Euro Pro Tour if you do want to watch some professional golf. And then straight after, as you can see, we're with 2020 Pro Tour. And on Wednesday the 29th, it's time for episode 14, isn't it, of Progress Junior Golf? There you go.
We'll be looking at ethnic minorities. So yeah. Just on the subject of Woodhall Spa, have you ever been there?
Yeah, I have. Yep.
Have you ever played golf there?
I've never played golf. I went for a meeting once there, and that was my only time there. And I didn't get much further than the clubhouse, to be honest.
Well, if I told you I did a feature for a golf magazine, I won't mention the name of the golf magazine, but there's a hole there whereby many years ago they put a mini in the bunker and stood on the fairway, and you couldn't see because it was that deep. Well, guess which person went in this bunker? And there was a photographer who deliberately stood there next to that hole because he wanted to get people hitting 5 or 6 shots out the bunker to try and get out of it, kind of thing. Much to his disappointment, I got out first time. So that's my claim to fame, my one and only claim to fame with a bunker shot. And it's one of those surreal experiences whereby you do not take any notice of where the pin is. All you're concentrating on is trying to get the ball up as quick as possible because they are.
What was the magazine, Steve? Was it Beginner's Golfer? Is that what it was?
That was it, absolutely, yes. And I let them down. How dare I? But yeah, so put a massive event, and there'll be some quality golf there, I can tell you. And there will be anybody playing more than one bunker shot in those bunkers, I can assure you.
Good
right,
stuff.
as we mentioned, now we've got a podcast coming up in a couple of weeks' time on ethnic minorities, and another one on girls golf after that, and then we might have another one in a couple of weeks after that, which we don't know yet. So like Ian said earlier, if you've got any subjects which you think we should be covering in junior golf, then please get in touch and we'll look at them, we'll get some interviews, and we'll really tackle those subjects.
There's the website there, www.progressjuniorgolf. Just for on final as well, there is a link in the body of this broadcast to that website as well, so you don't even have to type it out. Just give it a click, it'll take you straight through. It's got everything you need to know about junior golf, where the events are happening, who's playing, everything you need. It is right there. So do give it a click, do check it out, and save it to your website toolbar as well. Right. Final thing, then, we just have to say a massive thank you to Michelle Reeves, Kieran Thomas for putting on the event at Brampton Heath, but also for doing the interviews. Ellie Gamble, fantastic, and also Emily Horsted as well. Well done to both of those for all their experiences as well, and for joining us on the podcast. And all it does is leave it to say good evening. Hope everyone has a good time. Thanks for watching.